The purpose of this handbook is to provide proper procedures and guidelines when traveling on official business in support of the program. The program has vehicles available for visiting sites that require U.S. government anonymity. Keys are available from Redacted on the second floor of the Redacted building in room Redacted.
Called IT Project X. It was an unusually audacious, highly sensitive assignment to build a massive skyscraper capable of withstanding an atomic blast in the middle of New York City. It would have no windows, 29 floors with 3 basement levels, and enough food to last 1,500 people 2 weeks in the event of a catastrophe. But the building's primary purpose would not be to protect humans from toxic radiation amid nuclear war. Rather, the fortified skyscraper would safeguard powerful computers, cables, and switchboards. It would house one of the most important telecommunications hubs in the United States, the world's largest center for processing long-distance phone calls, operated by the New York Telephone Company, a subsidiary of AT&T. The building was designed by the architectural firm John Carl Warnick and Associates, whose grand vision was to create a communication nerve center like a 20th-century fortress, with spears and arrows replaced by protons and neutrons laying quiet siege to an army of machines within. Excerpt from Project X, a short film by Henrik Moltke and Laura Poitras, screening at the IFC Center starting November 18. This article is the product of a joint reporting project between the Intercept and Field of Vision. Construction began in 1969, and by 1974, the skyscraper was completed. Today, it can be found in the heart of Lower Manhattan at 33 Thomas Street, a vast gray tower of concrete and granite that soars 550 feet into the New York skyline. The brutalist structure, still used by AT&T and, according to the New York Department of Finance, owned by the company, is like no other in the vicinity. Unlike the many neighboring residential and office buildings, it is impossible to get a glimpse inside 33 Thomas Street. True to the designer's original plans, there are no windows and the building is not illuminated. At night it becomes a giant shadow, blending into the darkness, its large square vents emitting a distinct, dull hum that is frequently drowned out by the sound of passing traffic and wailing sirens. For many New Yorkers, 33 Thomas Street, known as the Long Lines Building, has been a source of mystery for years. It has been labeled one of the city's weirdest and most iconic skyscrapers, but little information has ever been published about its purpose. It is not uncommon to keep the public in the dark about a site containing vital telecommunications equipment. But 33 Thomas Street is different. An investigation by The Intercept indicates that the skyscraper is more than a mere nerve center for long-distance phone calls. It also appears to be one of the most important National Security Agency surveillance sites on U.S. soil, a covert monitoring hub that is used to tap into phone calls, faxes, and Internet data. Still seek one early model of the entrance of 33 Thomas Street as designed by John Carl Warnick and Associates. Still from Project X. Documents obtained by The Intercept from the NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden do not explicitly name 33 Thomas Street as a surveillance facility. However, taken together with architectural plans, public records, and interviews with former AT&T employees conducted for this article, they provide compelling evidence that 33 Thomas Street has served as an NSA surveillance site, code-named TITANPOINTE. Inside 33 Thomas Street there is a major international gateway switch, according to a former AT&T engineer, which routes phone calls between the United States and countries across the world. A series of top-secret NSA memos suggest that the agency has tapped into these calls from a secure facility within the AT&T building. The Manhattan skyscraper appears to be a core location used for a controversial NSA surveillance program that has targeted the communications of the United Nations, the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and at least 38 countries, including close U.S. allies such as Germany, Japan, and France. It has long been known that AT&T has cooperated with the NSA on surveillance, but few details have emerged about the role of specific facilities in carrying out the top-secret programs. The Snowden documents provide new information about how NSA equipment has been integrated as part of AT&T's network in New York City, revealing in unprecedented detail the methods and technology the agency uses to vacuum up communications from the company's systems. This is yet more proof that our communications service providers have become, whether willingly or unwillingly, an arm of the surveillance state, said Elizabeth Goitein, co-director of the Liberty and National Security Program at the Brennan Center for Justice. The NSA is presumably operating under authorities that enable it to target foreigners, but the fact that it is so deeply embedded in our domestic communications infrastructure should tip people off that the effects of this kind of surveillance cannot be neatly limited to non-Americans. The NSA declined to comment for this story. Still Seek 20 The FBI occupies the entire 23rd floor of 26 Federal Plaza, seen here behind 33 Thomas Street. Still from Project X, the code-named TITANPOINTE features dozens of times in the NSA documents, often in classified reports about surveillance operations. The agency uses code names to conceal information it deems especially sensitive. For instance, the names of companies it cooperates with or specific locations where electronic spying is carried out. Such details are usually considered exceptionally controlled information, a category beyond top secret and thus outside the scope of most of the documents that Snowden was able to obtain. Secret NSA travel guides, dated April 2011 and February 2013, however, reveal information about TITANPOINTE that helps establish its connection to 33 Thomas Street. The 2011 guide, written to assist NSA employees visiting various facilities, discloses that TITANPOINTE is in New York City. The 2013 guide states that a partner, called Lithium, which is NSA's code name for AT&T, supervises visits to the site. The 33 Thomas Street building is located almost next door to the FBI's New York field office, about a block away, at Federal Plaza. The 2011 NSA travel guide instructs employees traveling to TITANPOINTE to head to the FBI's New York field office. It adds that trips to the site should be coordinated with AT&T, referenced as Lithium, and the FBI, including an FBI SiteWatch officer. Still Seek 12 Intercom at 33 Thomas Street. Still from Project X, when traveling to TITANPOINTE, NSA employees are told to hire a cover vehicle through the FBI, especially if they are transporting equipment to the site. In order to keep their true identities secret while visiting, agency employees are instructed not to wear any clothing displaying NSA badges or insignia. Upon arrival at TITANPOINTE, the 2011 travel guide says, agency employees should ring the buzzer, sign in, and wait for a person to come and meet them. The Intercept visited 33 Thomas Street and found a buzzer outside its entrance and a sign-in sheet on a desk in the building's lobby, which is manned by a guard 24 hours a day. There are also parking bays in front of the skyscraper designated OM, a traffic code for federal agencies. A 1994 New York Times article reported that 33 Thomas Street was part of AT&T's giant worldwide intelligent network, which is responsible for directing an average of 175 million phone calls a day. Thomas Saunders, a former AT&T engineer, told The Intercept that inside the building there were at least 4 ESS switches used to route calls across phone networks. Of the first two, one handled domestic long-distance traffic and the other was an international gateway, said Saunders, who retired from his role at the company in 2004. The NSA's documents describe TITANPOINTE as containing foreign gateway switches, and they state that it has a RIMROC access. RIMROC is an NSA code name for 4 ESS switches. The NSA's documents also reveal that one of TITANPOINTE's functions is to conduct surveillance as part of a program called SKID, which focuses on intercepting satellite communications. That is a particularly striking detail, because on the roof of 33 Thomas Street there are a number of satellite dishes. Federal Communications Commission records confirm that 33 Thomas Street is the only location in New York City where AT&T has an FCC license for satellite earth stations. 026V9767 High-Res Edit Design Plan for the Tower Mechanical Equipment Floor at 33 Thomas Street. The man behind the design of 33 Thomas Street, John Carl Warnick, was one of the most prominent architects in the U.S. between the 1960s and 1980s. Warnick's high-profile projects included producing designs for the U.S. Naval Academy in Maryland, the Hart Senate Office Building in Washington, D.C., and the Hawaii State Capitol. In 1962, President John F. Kennedy's administration commissioned Warnick to preserve and restructure buildings at Lafayette Square, across from the White House. And following Kennedy's assassination, Warnick was asked to design the president's eternal flame and gravesite at Arlington National Cemetery. He also helped construct a new embassy complex in Washington for the Soviet Union, in which the Soviets claimed they found eavesdropping equipment embedded in the walls. But it was not only governments that trusted Warnick, who died in 2010, aged 91, with major construction projects. He cultivated a close relationship with telecommunications companies, too, possibly helped by family ties to the industry. Warnick's father-in-law had been a director at Pacific Bell, a California-based AT&T subsidiary. In the 1960s, Warnick was asked to design a telephone exchange building for Pacific Bell in Oakland. He would subsequently receive a series of other major commissions from AT&T, aside from the 33 Thomas S.